Welcome to the Rocky Road Podcast, brought to you by Rockbusters, with your host, Dennis Wager. Dennis is a best-selling author and an expert in demolition, rock, and concrete breaking, as well as a professional blaster. He is also president of Rockbusters Incorporated, along with his son, Brian. On the podcast, you'll hear exciting stories of how these challenge types of rock and concrete jobs are done. You'll learn about the uses of expanding grout and explosive devices. But furthermore, you'll hear about some of the hurdles and struggles entrepreneurs and business owners have had along the way, how they got started, and how they broke through the obstacles and found the path to success. Along with that, some insight for young people and people wanting to get into the industry. So listen in. I hope you enjoy the show. Now, here is Dennis Wager.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the show. I want to introduce to you today my guest, Stacey Brown. Welcome to the show, Stacey.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. It's good to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Nice to have you. So yeah, maybe you want to just kind of fill everybody in with a little bit of your story and the background, and wherever you'd like to jump in and begin, it would be great.
Yeah, so the reason I'm here is because I'm brave enough to talk about a traumatic experience that happened with my family. I'm a mom of 4, grandmother of 1. And 5 years ago, my 17-year-old son plummeted into issues with mental health and substance abuse. And in January of 2019, he overdosed in our home and survived. And then 4 months later, he attempted to take his own life by running his car into a tree at 100 miles an hour. And when that happened, changed my whole life. And I gave up a very successful career in the beauty industry because I felt led on a path to help people in a bigger way. And I wanted to explore what that looked like. And so I have been taking steps for the last 5 years to align with my purpose and to help people navigate through challenges that they face in their life. And it's been quite a journey, Dennis, to get here.
Yeah, I can imagine. I know we chatted yesterday, and I can't even imagine. I mean, I've gone through a lot of trauma and stress over my life, but I couldn't imagine what you went through. So, yeah, I don't really even know what to say to that. I mean, other than glad you've been able to kind of come around the other end or the other side of that now. So.
Yeah, and exploring who I am along the way. It's been a powerful process to go through such an intense journey. I mean, he was suffering physically, but we had some really powerful spiritual encounters happen in the hospital. And with each one of those experiences, it solidified more and more that I wanted to help people in a different way. And so I started pursuing different avenues of getting certifications and taking healing courses and becoming a Reiki practitioner and doing things that made me feel more aligned spiritually and in a better space to be able to help other people, because ultimately that was the goal. I wanted to help as many people as I can. And I felt that through the experience with my son, I broke into a way of being that I had never had before, like an understanding that I needed to show up as myself.
So would you say that kind of showed up and became your therapy in a way?
100%. 100%. And I mean, I'm still an advocate for therapy. So I did traditional therapy as well. But yes, it's been therapy to help other people and help them navigate the challenges on their healing journeys, and to use my intuitive gifts and abilities to do readings for people from around the world has been a powerful experience. It's something I never thought I would get to do.
Yeah, that's cool. A question that comes to mind would be like, how did you deal with that back in the time? But I also think that's kind of an unanswerable question because, when trauma happens, you just deal with it, right? Like there's no magic way to deal with it.
No, and there was no straight line to healing. I'm still healing from it.
Yeah.
I'm still shifting and growing and, exploring who I am in this season. And there's so many challenges that come with like a rebirth. And that's what this was. This was a rebirth into a totally different season from what I've experienced in the past.
Yeah. So what was your beauty industry like, or what was it that your business was back then?
So I was a hairdresser in the beauty industry for nearly 20 years and built a very successful business independently. Really passionate about what I did and loved working with clients. And I would put my hands on them and I would sense things that they were going through.
Okay.
Um, and it served, like it was great doing it. But I felt like there was something even more that I was meant to do and help
Yeah.
people in a deeper way. Like I kept seeing the one thing that everybody has in common is pain.
Yeah. So kind of like the higher level, tell your hairdresser everything experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Funny. I have the same hairdresser for the last, I don't know, 15 years or something like that. And it's honestly one of the people that's kind of a weird relationship if you think about it, because it's somebody that you're close to because you talk openly with, but you only see her like every couple months, right?
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of, it's awesome,
Uh-huh.
but it's just kind of like, it's different from like a close friend where you're going to talk to them all the time.
Right. And yet you confide in them and they kind of play a role and they know everything that's going on with your family and what you're doing for
Yeah,
the
exactly.
holidays and all kinds of things, right? So that kind of warmed me up to working with people in this way because I was already working with people in a way in a similar vibration. And
Yeah.
this just kind of felt like it naturally unfolded that this was what I was meant to do.
Yeah. So maybe you just didn't realize it at the time. You're just doing your thing, doing hairdressing. And then, yeah, it kind of opened up this other new door.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And then you were saying also you had, the nice house in the country and married and all that. Life was good before that happened. And maybe you could talk a little bit about how the shift occurred and kind of the next stage.
Yeah, I think that everybody handles trauma differently. And it's a very private decision how you handle it. And my partner at the time chose to shut down and close off. And I chose to write a book and speak openly about the trauma and work on healing. And we went two different directions, sadly, and ended up getting a divorce. And it was not at all what I expected it would be. And I never expected to be living this season of my life single for the time being and navigating independence. But here we are.
Yeah.
And I sold my beautiful home in the country and moved into my own little space.
Yeah.
And it has been a very interesting season to navigate because, ironically enough, I am planning on moving to the UK.
Yeah. You were mentioning that. So yeah, tell us about that, how that all happened.
Yeah. So I met someone through the work that I do, and we had a great professional rapport. And when we were done that professional time, we stayed in touch and over time fell in love. And we've been doing the long distance thing now for about a year and a half. And he lives in the UK and I live in the US.
Yeah. That's
So
nice that that could happen for you. How is your ex-husband doing now?
he is married and living in another state. And I don't have any contact with him. My hope is that he's doing well.
So he did recover from it too, but just in a different way. took a different route.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing about healing is it's such a private thing. It's something that each person is going to manage in their own way and see from their own viewpoint. And everybody has their own timeline for healing. There's no set time. And I think because of that, it divided us. But my hope is that he's found the healing that he needs, as I hope that he wishes me well too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I totally can relate to that because, you can see those two very distinct different roads, like I can totally see where people just bury their head and hide out and don't want to talk to anybody or talk about it. And then I can see your direction where you want to talk about it. And I see how that really helps people to talk about it. And yeah, not to say one is right and the other is wrong. It's just two different distinct ways.
Absolutely. And I think that's the thing is that there is no right or wrong way. There's just our own unique way.
Yeah. And it just kind of, I think, shows up through your subconscious and you don't really even have a say in it. Well, you kind of have a say, but for a lot of it, you don't. I think it's just a natural way of being.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's that. And then now, so you've got your new start coming up and, what are you looking at as far as timeline to move or what's on your horizon now?
So my dreams and goals are big. I would absolutely love to write another book. I would love to travel and see other parts of the world, but my timeline right now is focused more on the next step. And right now, that is moving out of my condo and getting to the UK. And I'm anticipating that that will be late spring, early summer at the latest. And in the interim, I'll go and visit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to, go spend a couple months there and then come back and apply for a visa and then wait on the approval for the visa and then make the move.
Okay. And what are you going to do over there as far as a career? Have you thought about that or?
Well, what I do right now, I am lucky enough to do from the comfort of my home, and I see clients from all around the world. So my hope is that by using my voice and letting people know that I'm here and that I can support them, that will continue to generate clients from different walks of life who need my support, and that I'll get to continue to do that work. That's my greatest desire.
Cool. How do people find you?
So I have a website, stacey-brown.com, and it talks all about my services, my story. I have a blog on there. It shows the podcast that I co-host with my friend Nimesh Radia. So the best place to find me is at my website.
Yeah, I think that's really good. What else would you like to add to that? Like, do you want to talk a little more about, how like any major points that helped you heal or, the components to, what you found the most helpful?
It's interesting when we talk about healing because, like I said, I feel like everybody's own journey is unique. But I absolutely think that there are some things that help day to day that are so important in trying to keep ourselves balanced and healthy. And so I really believe in the power of journaling. Journaling has been a huge positive step for me. It's been something that's allowed me a space to process things when I don't know where else to put them. It's given me a space to shift my mindset into gratitude and words of affirmation to myself that lift my soul. And so I really believe that that's been a key component in my healing. But I also believe in the power of silence and meditation. And that when we take the time to be introspective with ourselves and still with ourselves, we can bring ourselves into the present moment. And then I'm also a big believer in getting out in nature and allowing yourself the space to connect with the world around you. And it sounds like they're such basic things, but they're things that have been survival tactics for me when things have gotten really hard. And they're
Yeah.
things that I implement with clients all the time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I went through some, as I was saying, trauma before. And one of the things I did is just went to the beach. And, I find myself a lot of times, you just get in the mode of go to work, go to work, go to work. And you have to make that conscious decision to say, hey, like I'm going to take my lunch break or after work and go for a walk, and yeah, I mean, personally, I kind of push that off a lot of times. Like I'll get in kind of patterns where I'll do that, consistently. And then I'll kind of, I don't know if you want to call it get lazy or whatever you want to call it, but get out of that routine and then just work. Right. But then it kind of builds up and you do need to get back to nature and have some time.
Yeah. And I think avoiding the buildup, doing it consistently, finding pockets of time each day for yourself is super important. And it's
Yeah.
been a big part of my healing. I think the other thing is finding community. I've started
Yeah.
building a women's community to give women a space to connect with other women who are going through seasons of transition in their lives. And it's a community that's all online. And it's given women a space to be consistent with their habits. And I think that in our consistency and in having community to help hold us accountable, those things are really, really important to your healing. I don't believe we're meant to be isolated and alone. I believe a
Yeah.
lot of us do that when we're in the space of healing, when we're going through something painful. But having
Yeah.
that community can be such a powerful thing.
Exactly. I think women do a better job of that than men. I think there's always lots of, women supporting other women, but men seem to just not talk about it as much, I think.
And maybe that's something we need to change.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, there's so much support that can come from your community. And I know right now, you know, I I feel like my community is small, like my inner circle is very small, but it's people that I know are truly on my side and supporting me and helping me see the best vision for my life with me. And there's something to be said to having that support, that community that you can lean into. I think we need more of that right now than ever before.
Also, one thing that I've always had stand out to me is when something happens, you never know who's going to show up for you. A lot of the times that, the people that you expect to be there are not, and it could be somebody that you barely know that is.
It's 100%
And
true. It's so powerful because people will show you who they are, right?
yeah,
And when they show you,
yeah,
believe them. And I've just had so many people that I didn't expect to rallying around me. And
yeah,
people that I thought would rally around me, not
weren't
rallying
there.
around me. And
Exactly.
I'm just so grateful that I have that inner circle to help me navigate through this because, again, there's no timeline. I'm 5 years out from this really traumatic experience, but
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that I'm done healing and that I
No, no.
crossed a finish line. I'm still in it. I'm still figuring it out. I'm still navigating through the different layers of grief and healing, but
Yeah.
I'm determined to help other people as much as I can in their process as well, because I feel like we have a responsibility to one another to lean into the people that we know might be a little bit further along in the journey than we are, that can help provide us guidance. That, to me, when we can do that for one another, we're helping pave the way for other people that maybe
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be as painful as what we went through. Or maybe we can give them some coping strategies. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've always had this saying where, if you take away the words from people's, conversations and just look at their actions. Their actions speak for themselves. And yeah, a lot of it is just like you say, it's just stepping up, doing the right thing, and yeah, being a good person, I think.
Yeah. And it really does start with how you care for yourself. And, are you taking that time to build a relationship with yourself, to take that one-to-one time that we need with ourselves to ponder the things that you're going through, to meditate, to be in the present? Are you taking the time to do any writing? There's just so much power in these healing practices when they're consistent. And
Yeah.
for me, it's been a lifeline.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I did too. I started to write a book. Almost finished it now. It's in the final stages. So I'm expecting to have that published by Christmas.
Congratulations. It's exciting, isn't it?
Yeah. It's been also very therapeutic. It's nice to look back and reflect on things in my life and kind of put it to paper.
Yes.
And it's exciting to see, who gets something out of it, who ends up reading it and things like that. Even with my podcast, in the summertime, I went to a barbecue at a friend's house. And then I recommended, my friend hire this singer that I'm also friends with. So he did. And his son just happened to come along to the barbecue too. And his son was like, I don't know, 19, I think, or something like that. And then, my friend introduced me to his son. And he's like, oh, I know you. You have a podcast. I listened to that. And I'm like, oh my God, like, how would you even listen to my podcast, right? Like, my podcast is so small. But yeah, but kind of flattered at the same time. Like, oh, that's really neat. You never know kind of who's going to read your book or who's going to listen to you or read something that you write, put online or what have you, right?
It's so interesting that you say that, because when I was writing my book, I didn't think about, who was going to read it or what they were going to think. And as I went to hit send on the manuscript to the editor, I had this like total oh shit moment, because I realized that people are actually going to read what I'm writing, that people are going to be taking in what I'm saying, and that I wrote the book with no filter. I mean, it was raw and real, and I had to relive moment for moment some painful things. I mean, in order to tell a story, you've got to be in the space again. You've got to remember what it smells like, what it sounds like, what it feels like. And when you're tapping into all those different parts of yourself, it can be really, really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I felt the same thing too. And I reread it, and then it's like, oh, maybe that's too much, or like, no, I want to say that. I do want to get that out. And you just kind of use your own judgment, right? But yeah, I believe the same thing too. Like, you gotta get it out there, and I think that's the difference that actually makes a book, right? Is being real.
100%. And I think, what's the point of doing it if you're not going to be?
Yeah, exactly.
Why put yourself through so much? Because it is such a process that if you're going to do it, you've got to do it right and be all the way in my opinion.
Yeah, mine too. Oh, that, for sure. And that's really the good spots there where you can kind of share those things. And I think those are the little bits that I think people do get. Something else I kind of learned over the past few years is, even in communicating, like when you say something to somebody, sometimes it's just adding that one extra sentence that kind of, has the light bulb come on for them, right? And the communicating isn't always what you say, it's what they hear, or how they take away what you've said, right?
Yeah, how they perceive it. And what they hear might be totally different than what you said.
Exactly.
And
I used to have a way where if I didn't get what I wanted, I would just kind of repeat what I was saying, but in a different way. And I would repeat it 2 or 3 times until I was kind of wanting or thinking I would get my way. But that's the wrong way to do it. It's really just asking them what they heard. and being okay with whatever their answer is, right?
Not easy to do.
No, it's not. It takes a bit of practice.
And it's hard when you're putting yourself out there because you don't know how people are going to interpret what you're putting out there.
Yeah, everybody has their own opinion and their own way of reading and understanding it.
Right. And the inflection that they'll read it with and the opinion or the lens that they'll see it through. I mean, it's a scary thing to put yourself out there on that level. But when you do, it's also very cathartic because there's an adrenaline race about it as well that gets you really excited.
There is. And, I watched a video the other night with Tom Hanks, and he was delivering an acting class at a university. And he just broke it down like so beautifully. It was just like one line that he made up, and he got the people in the class to just keep repeating the one simple line, but putting different twists on it, like different emphasis on the meaning of it. And it had people practice that. And then the one thing that he said was that to be an actor, you just have to take away all of the opinions that you think people are putting on you and just be yourself and not care about what they think. It's just be yourself and take it on and be real. Like you're that person, you're saying it the way that lie is intended to be said. And that's what makes a great actor.
And you know what? That's so fantastic because I think that that's what makes a great person.
Yeah.
Somebody who can put aside what everybody else thinks and be true to themselves completely. And that's not an easy space for people to be in. But it's something that I've worked really hard on doing for myself. And now I try to guide people to that space because I really believe that vulnerability is a superpower.
I think so too. I think that's what people want to hear, right? And anybody can hear all the noise out there, but people really want to tap into the real person, or the real personality of a person. And that's kind of the juicy parts, where you learn something for yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So good for you. Yeah, well, that was great. I think we're wrapping up. It's been really great to have you on the show. And maybe just want to say your website one more time and people can look you up or give you a call if they want to book something with you.
Sure. It's Stacey, Stacey, Stacey-Brown.com.
Awesome. Well, that's great, Stacey. Congratulations on things turning around and good luck in the future. I really hope things work out well for you and with this new guy and the new move. And
thank you.
And I think, you'll have a lot of exciting things come up. So
yeah, it's crazy, right?
Yeah. Well, you just got to be with it, just be yourself, be with it, and things happen.
Yep. I'm taking it one day at a time.
Yeah, for sure.
It was a pleasure.
Awesome. Well, enjoy your day.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you would like to be a guest on a future episode and tell us your story, visit our website at www.rockbusters.com. If you have a project and would like to learn more about our products, or if you're interested in partnering with us and becoming a distributor, give us a call. Thanks again. We appreciate your support.